minutes?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Terry, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first order of business is an application for 267 Water Street, Plat 4, lot 70. Second. And 153. Second, Terry, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Next Fred's gonna sing a song.
That's my earlier piano recital. When I was,
Right.
we all set?
We're good now.
Application 267 Water Street, Plat 4, lot 72 and 153. This is a public hearing. The owner is Paul Bullock, Unified Development Plan Review, which is why this is before the planning board for a conversion of former second floor restaurant space into a 2-bedroom, 2-bath residential dwelling, proposed as a short-term rental within the waterfront overlay district. No exterior construction proposed. The development plan review for change of use in the waterfront overlay district, special use permit for mixed use in waterfront district. With the applicant.
Should no exterior construction be no construction?
Yes.
I think it's a typo in the agenda.
Construction, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Bullock, you're representing yourself, right?
Oh, no, I'm Greg Spees.
Okay,
Hi, I'm Greg Spees, the architect. I'm at 24 Linden Street in Warren, and I'm representing Paul, who couldn't be here because he's cooking. And he has a one-man show. But anyway, thank you for having this special meeting. I believe my understanding is we need an approval from you then to go, and then we go on to a special use permit. The with
no, I think
planning,
we're.
or is
we're
this the whole thing? Is it?
We're the whole
is it-
ball of wax.
Okay, this, I was not quite clear, but the idea of a change of use, this space was a restaurant on the second floor above Tavino and the Admiral Pub that are on Water Street. And there's no real need for an additional restaurant up there, and the owner would like to convert it to an apartment that he could rent out as an Airbnb. The parking is actually beneficial if the use goes, because they only need really one space, but there are 40 spaces on the site. And there's 2 restaurants, oddly enough, both have 40 seats, so they're 20 cars per restaurant. So, and there's 23 spaces there, so we have adequate parking. And so we're just saying, we're basically wanting confirmation that this is an acceptable change of use in the overlay district. Seems consistent with other uses in the district.
And we've all received that information. I guess the short-term rental is what concerns me. What we have in Warren is a shortage of rental units. Another Airbnb does give me pause. This is when I had originally looked at it, I thought that we were talking about a residence that would be open for someone to rent, as opposed to an Airbnb, which is a rotating number of folks coming in and out of there. Also, with 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, I think we're probably talking, we could be talking as many as 2 or 3 cars going to use this Airbnb. And that it is really my main reservation about this, not so much the idea of a residence in this area because it is a mixed retail residential area throughout. But we've been trying to limit the number of Airbnbs, and I thought there was a limit. Perhaps that was just, Allison, can you help me on that?
Yeah, so part of the ordinance, and there is a maximum, but the town hasn't reached that, my understanding at this point. They haven't reached the limit on the number of short-term rentals.
Okay.
Do we have any idea of what those metrics are? Like, are we at, of that limit, 70% capacity? 75% capacity of the current limit?
I mean, go ahead.
Well, and I would say in defense of the applicant, this is probably the best place to put an Airbnb. I'm not sure I would want to be living over two restaurants and backing up onto one more with a coffee shop and another restaurant. So, I mean, there's 5 restaurants within 100 feet. of this,
Yeah.
Location, which is great if I want to be in a hotel. Kind of sucks if I want to get some sleep at night.
Yeah.
If there's going to be an Airbnb anywhere in town, this would be the place to have it, from my perspective. I assume Paul is going to be the manager. One of the requirements for Airbnbs is that the
Yeah,
manager be
present,
in town.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good point. Because there was the bake shop in front we actually converted that to residential a while ago, a couple of years ago. I was representing Paul. And when Chomp added space, she was very vocal about the disturbance of having a restaurant next to a residential. So and she's of course, long-term resident. So I agree with Jenny's.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I think the clarification from Allison regarding the percentage of allowed within the town, and as Jenny said, if you're gonna have an Airbnb, you don't want it in a neighborhood.
But I mean, the flip side of that is where we want more units added is in the urban core. And we like seeing more units added in the urban core. We don't want them put out in farm fields necessarily. So it's a balancing act, I recognize.
Yeah, but again, I think the fact that that there is a standing regulation regarding the number of Airbnbs, puts us in a position where I don't think that's enough to deny it because it would be allowed by law. So
Yeah, if you'd reached the capacity, I think we'd have that.
The upper deck,
Yeah.
when that was a restaurant, how well did that upper deck function with a lot of people standing on it? Do you know?
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's a beautiful deck.
It's a beautiful deck.
Beautiful deck.
You
mean as far as the
I don't
construction?
know whether I can provide anecdotal information that I've heard from people in the neighborhood.
sure.
That when that was a restaurant, this was many years before even I lived in town. It was actually a little bit scary with a whole bunch of people up on the deck drinking, that the deck really wasn't designed to have like 30 people standing on it doing toasts at whatever time at night. That given the nature of its structure, that not having it as a restaurant or bar space from a safety perspective sounds good to me, given the total structure.
Mhm. It's an interesting. Tony Guido and I are working on this, and we worked on a number of projects, and we did upgrade a lot of decks. We've worked on decks
For restaurants.
just decks in general that were not up to the new ordinance.
Okay.
So we're pretty
Okay.
aware of that.
Okay.
But we are going to, if say we're approved, we would then go ahead with the construction.
Mhm.
And we would bring that deck up to.
Whatever code is required
Right,
for
so
residential.
if we
use.
need, if that wants to be a condition of approval, that would be all right with us.
I think probably.
We would do
for
that.
People using it probably is not a problem.
No, but an Airbnb, you could have a wedding or something.
Yeah, I mean, that is,
So I agree.
we had an
I think that's a
Airbnb.
good point.
We had an Airbnb in our neighborhood for a short period of time, which was later overturned, but in a small house with 2 bedrooms and 2 baths, and 20 people showed up and they
Yeah.
were playing beer pong, on the front yard. So, there are challenges with these Airbnbs, particularly in a zone like this, that's a party zone. So, I would say that, it's important that the town constabulary are aware of the fact that Paul is the responsible party, and if things start going south.
Yeah.
They can go next door to their Admiral Pub and talk to
All
them.
right,
Right, and these, yeah, I found him to be pretty stand up about these things. I think he wants to do it well. He's got actually 3 egresses. That's the good news as far as Airbnbs. That was the other question with Airbnbs, if they had the safety features of a hotel, like a person that didn't know the floor plan that's just come in out of state or something. This plan actually has 3 ways out. So the bedroom actually has, both bedrooms sort of have 2 ways. So it's pretty well suited
Yeah.
for an Airbnb.
okay.
So did-
Any other questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
some of the, where I thought I read somewhere that there was a bedroom being converted downstairs. Is that the case?
No, this is all upstairs.
Okay, so nothing's being done on the bottom floor?
No, that's still the Admiral Pub and Tavino.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will there be a kitchen in this Airbnb upstairs?
Yeah, just more of a residential kitchen.
Okay.
So
it's
well,
a
actually,
apartment, it's
Hmm?
full, it's
yeah,
completely.
we took
loaded.
the kitchen that was when it was a restaurant, and that's the middle bedroom.
Oh, okay, I
So we
understand
took
now.
that out.
I didn't understand.
And
that.
that's where it had that extra
Restaurant
stair for
upstairs.
staff.
Okay,
So that's actually a plus for safety. Yeah.
okay, that's it.
Anything else?
How does this fit in with the Historic District Commission?
I
There
don't think there's
any
any
change?
exterior,
There's no exterior.
We're not
changes.
changing anything, yeah. So it's
Okay.
just internal. It's really a pretty simple alteration of some internal walls where that kitchen was.
Okay, if you have to do any major renovations to the deck on the exterior.
We would look at that. Yeah, I'd be anxious to look at that, make sure that's stout. Not to mention, it's in his bed, it's in, just saying. If it collapsed, his restaurant, which is his main source of income, would be severely damaged.
Yeah.
So it's in his best interest. I'm circling it, that it'll be part of our scope of work.
Mr. Chair, procedurally at this point, the applicant has an opportunity to present his application. We ask him to sit. We officially open up the public hearing. You ask the public if there's anybody here to talk on the application. Nobody here, make a motion to close the public hearing, and then we'll address the special use permit standards.
Great, okay, so
Great.
you've done your part,
Right.
we've done ours, make a motion to open this as a public hearing,
Seconded?
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone? Bueller,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Seconded.
all in favor?
So now the board addresses the special use permit.
No, the findings of fact,
So if you're ready, I can go ahead.
yes, if you could, please.
In addressing the special use permit that is being applied to, the board conditionally approves the special use permit as presented. It makes the following finding of standards based on evidence and testimony on the record that the project is compatible with the neighboring land uses. It will not create a nuisance or a hazard in the neighborhood. It will be compatible with the comp plan, and the public convenience and welfare will be served. And the following condition will be placed on the special use permit.
I just have one condition I'd like to propose.
Sure.
The Airbnb to be listed with a maximum of 2 cars, since you're allocating 2 spaces to that Airbnb. This road is already congested as it is. I have a hard time finding parking down there, as do everyone else. So I'd like that to be a condition that this Airbnb can only be listed and rented with 2 vehicles based on the parking plan you have.
And also to meet the town's regulations in terms of short-term rentals, would also be a condition.
Those 2 conditions, yeah.
I mean, I think we generally, focus on the change of use being residential, and then it's not that you're you're not really approving it as a short-term rental, you're approving the residential use, and then it's up to the applicant to then go through the town's process to apply for a short-term rental, like outside of this, you know.
Yeah,
would be a
but,
separate, yeah.
you know,
Approving
to
the
Blake's
residential use.
point,
But even as a
these-
residential use. yes.
right, these spots are, you know, associated with the restaurant and, you know, I have bad feelings about what happened with Chomp and Trafford's, you know, absorbing a lot of the public spots in the town wharf because, you know, it was like, well, we're sharing and, you know, we've got parking elsewhere and we know that parking is a significant issue down here. So would those be marked as, you know, indicated as for the users of the Airbnb, specifically reserved for that? I mean, on the other hand, if they're not, you know, if they don't have somebody in there, those spots, you don't want to just leave them empty.
So what is the private car, I guess I can ask what do they have for parking in their lot now? Spaces,
The plan shows 22 spaces.
so those you dedicate to your two.
Well, it's 22 spaces for the entire building.
10 to the,
Restaurants,
Vino's, 10 to Admiral.
23 spaces.
So their parking calculation was the two restaurants have 40 seats each. So at the code, it's one space for 4 seats, one parking stall. So that means 20 of those are restaurant. For the restaurant, 10 for each restaurant. And then that leaves, fortunately,
Two.
two
Right.
for the Airbnb, which I thought was good. We can, I mean, we could get 23 on the site. There's another little spot, but I didn't feel the need to congest it.
Yeah, and again, it's a little tricky. I don't want to get us lost in the weeds here. I mean, I want to be able to say that this is, you know, according to Blake's concern, that there are 2 spots that are
dedicated. I think
specifically.
Yeah, and
in
ju-
addition, that if you wanna have this as residential use,
Yeah.
as 2 dedicated spots for that use site. And then whatever happens in the future, yeah, if you're trying to expand your restaurant, you might not have enough
Right.
parking studies and then, you know.
I mean, I think this is an amazing location for it. I love the idea of people coming to Water Street to see our town. It's beautiful down there. It's a good representation of it. I agree with all this. One of these restaurants flips and becomes the next big thing. Next thing you know, that parking lot's flooded. What I want to do is protect the restaurants, right? So let's say, all right, this Airbnb is meant for 2 spots. You're only allowed to list it for 2 spots. You just make sure the restaurants are protected and their businesses can serve without having 4, you know, 2 extra spots taken up or 2 tables basically taken up because of the Airbnb.
Seems
So that's all, as far as designated parking spots, I think it's, as long as we should entrust the managers managing the property in accordance with the way. he
fortunately,
sees
yeah,
fit.
the owner's on site.
But just as long as that Airbnb list says too, do we have to attach anything else to that? Or are we good with that
So you
condition?
have a motion to approve, conditionally approve with conditions. If there's no other conditions, Mr. Chair, you can take a vote to approve the special use permit.
I make a motion to approve this applicant with the condition that the 2 spots designated for the residential use, if used for short term, will be advertised on the short term rental, that the renters can only bring 2 vehicles.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, Mr. Chair, now you just have to address the application as a whole, and what you have before you is a development plan review under the waterfront overlay district.
So,
So we have an application, for example, if he didn't need a special use permit, we would just come before you with this development plan review because it's required under the waterfront overlay district. So this is now what's before you.
is, I mean,
It's the same fact.
what else is there to say?
Yeah, but there's no, right, development plan review, there's no external construction, so there's
Right.
not much to review in regards to site plan, you know, so.
And the conditions attached to the special use form, permit, therefore we can approve this as is.
Yeah, you can make a motion to approve the application as is.
Conditional upon no exterior changes being made.
I make a motion to approve this application on the condition there's no exterior changes being made.
I'll second that.
Tim White, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Well,
Thank you very much.
go for it.
Great.
Good job. Next, order of business is application 317 Market Street, plat 21, lot 2. Owner is Market Street Industrial LLC, major land development. This is the master plan stage for construction of 7,500 square foot retail space and 39,600 square foot manufacturing space with associated utilities, parking, seeking zoning relief for maximum building height, lot coverage, and certain design standards within the rural business zoning district. Jenny has recused herself because she is on the board of the Warren Land Trust, which owns property immediately abutting this land. We still have a quorum, so we're able to move forward. And the floor is yours, gentlemen.
Zach Rivers, 29 Harrison Street, Bristol, Rhode Island.
Louis Gentili, Insight Engineering, 1539 Fall River Ave in Seekonk, Mass.
Mike Balderosi with 168 Harbor and Woodsville Road, Lambertville, New Jersey.
Good evening, members of the board. As I said, my name is Louis Gentili, here presenting the redevelopment of the Market Street site here. I brought some packets to hand out for you that have the architectural renderings, just so you guys can review them up close. Couple more.
Thank you very much.
Total of 5 or 6.
Okay, here, I'll.
Thank you. I think I get 2 down there. Thank you.
Allison, did you do one of these or Ben?
I don't know, yeah,
I just got a 6.
No worries.
yeah, electronic.
No, well, I've got one, an extra.
Updated.
Pass this down. Allison, I'll down there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the site here is located on the east side of Market Street. It's a pretty well-developed site to begin with. We've got a very large building of about 37,000 square feet on the site presently, and an extensively developed paved area with ample parking for the site, and good site maneuverability. So, there's an entrance on Market Street, on the west side of Market Street. Cars are able to enter the site, move around freely, and then exit convenience over on Schoolhouse Road. There's landscaping on the site, which we're aiming to preserve as much as we can, and some existing grassed areas for stormwater management that we're also aiming to preserve as much as we can. Utilities are provided to the existing building coming off of Market Street. That's gas, water, sewer, electric. So the future development will have all those same utilities as well. There are wetlands located on the far east side of the site. The entirety of this development is out of the jurisdictional area of the wetlands, but they are present. Shown in green, buff areas in yellow and orange as well. As I said, we're out of that jurisdictional area for this development. Further requirements, I've got some soil maps, 200-foot radiuses, which I can get into if necessary, but they're really just provided to you guys as part of your checklist.
What is the land elevation?
What's that?
What is the elevation of the land?
Oh, yes, good point. So over on Market Street, the elevation is down at about 17. And as you enter Schoolhouse Road or travel up Schoolhouse Road, the elevation of the land does increase significantly, 10 feet up to elevation 27. So over in this back area of the site, you're dealing with elevation 27. In the front area of the site, you're dealing with elevation 17. I believe, this area of the site rates up a little bit more gently, but you do have a steep slope in the back. And we'll speak to that a little bit more moving on when we get into some of the building design. So this development really proposes 2 new buildings. You've got a smaller retail space in the front and a larger manufacturing space kind of in the rear of the property. I would say approximately 80% of this parking exists presently on site. You know, the parking that's below and behind this proposed retail business already exists. The parking that's, you know, in this area of the site already exists as well. Same with all the parking that's behind the building. We're really just expanding pavement on the north portion of the site and adding some more parking southerly of this proposed build. Maneuverability on the site remains largely the same. Enter off of Market Street, and to kind of ease that flow onto Market Street of cars leaving, we would aim for them to use the Schoolhouse Road exit. I said previously that, you know, we are entirely out of the jurisdictional area of the wetlands. You can see that clearly. Proposed building are far outside that jurisdictional area. You know, to be in kind with some of the ideas of this district, we are proposing some landscaping as shown on the plan, as well as some stone walls that accent the corners of the properties. We really feel that that meets the intent and the other characteristics of the area, and it really accentuates them with something that's not, you know, out of character. A little bit about the parking, I guess, or just kind of what's shown over on the side of the plan there. Is essentially just the parking breakdown. If you guys have any questions about that, feel free, I can go through it, but we're providing ample parking, more than what's required. And by our opinion, we took some conservative measurements using some of the retail spaces that have higher parking demands. We've accounted for them and provided more than the required parking, about 10 more spots, 9 actually, than what's required.
How many parking spots are you looking at?
So the site's proposing exactly 193 proposed a total of 193 parking spaces. That's on the plan. We've got a 184 required. And we'd be providing sufficient ADA accessibility to all the buildings.
For your manufacturing building, how many parking spaces are there? Where are they located?
We're accounting for 20 employees in that manufacturing building. Yes, 20 employees. So that requires 10 parking spaces. The majority of, you know, the use of that building would be behind the lot, but, you know, we're providing more than required for some spillover from other areas if required.
Don't most employees travel on their own?
I would agree, yes. But we are meeting the requirements of the bylaws.
Is there a current curb cut on Schoolhouse Road?
Yes.
There is an existing, all curb cuts are existing, so we're not proposing any new curb cuts.
Because where you're planning on putting where your curb cut is,
What's that?
that could be a dangerous intersection.
Mr. I think this may be a good time to go over like, what are we doing here at the master plan and our objectives as a board, maybe? Because there's certain objectives we're here to hear about. And
Yeah, I think our first position is to hear as much as possible before we contest anything.
Yeah, we'll let the applicant give their
Yeah, and I was
presentation.
wrapping up close to, and we could,
Yeah,
I don't have much left to really talk about.
Okay.
no, please, yeah, the details matter for this one.
No, and I assume there's gonna be many questions. I just don't want to assume, you know, what, and I'm a little confused if you're, but there are no proposed
Curb cuts.
changes, no proposed curb cuts, and happy to discuss that. So I'll just wrap up here. Grading drainage utility plan here, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of engineering, and without getting too caught up in what could be preliminary talk, happy to go through a little bit of our design here at a master plan level. So the goal, as mentioned, would be to provide new utilities to these buildings coming off of Market Street. Got those shown in color here. And the goal really here is to make sure that there's no negative impacts on neighbors or the public right away as far as stormwater is concerned. So we're expanding some of the existing stormwater features. As some of you may be aware of the site, there's grassed areas right along Market Street. This southerly one is pretty well sized to begin with, so we're keeping that as is. We're expanding this infiltration area significantly on our site. We're actually adding an entire new infiltration area on the rear of the site. You know, obviously, we're adding some new area here, but we're very confident that we're going to be treating that to every standard of Rhode Island DEM, regardless of, you know, what percentage of an increase there is, it will be treated. In general, I think that's most of what I have. And if you guys would like to ask any questions, we're
Um,
happy to get into that with you.
Well, you are asking for a large building, the manufacturing building, well beyond what is already allowed for. Do you have a tenant?
No, the owner representatives are here to speak to any tenant.
So we do have interest in the property, until we have some additional approvals, though we don't have any tenants willing to move forward at this time. However, we do have interest in that as a light manufacturing building. Currently,
So that size is based on what?
it's based on, it's comparable to the other buildings, I believe 37 or 38,000 square feet. So this one's gonna be, is about 39, the way it worked out. So it's a kind of proportional to the existing building. However, it was based on needs of people interested and on what we've been obviously leasing the other building. So we've been getting a lot of inquiries, and the biggest thing people are looking for right now is really open, clear span space where they have a lot of flexible use, where they can have some office space, but still have light manufacturing. We're starting to get a lot of interest from some people that are currently located in neighboring towns, looking for more room, trying to expand. So
Okay.
without naming them specifically, you know, there was quite a bit of interest.
Yeah, you're looking at what you anticipate
Yeah.
the demand will be.
We're trying to design something that we can keep leased, that brings in a good tenant, somebody's gonna have jobs in town, beneficial for the town as well, and, you know, be a stable tenant for us as well in that area.
You know, referencing the master plan and this development, this land, right? I think overall, you guys are doing a good job on this.
Thank
You know, looking at the amount of loading bay doors you have, it looks like a tradesman, unit, right? So like, is this gonna go down the road where you get through as like an open space, we have tenants, and then it's, hey, we can't find a tenant, we have to parcel it out. Now we have all these tradesman units, and then we just have that whole parking lot just full of tradesman trucks coming in and out
So,
at the schoolhouse road.
I mean, we definitely wouldn't want it to look like that. I mean, I
Yeah,
mean, we've been trying to transform the site. Hopefully you guys have seen it. It's gonna be pretty much done in a couple weeks now. Definitely want to clean it up for our benefit. We don't want it to
Yeah.
look like that. You know, could it get subdivided at some point? That's possible, but you know, the intent is not to be micro units. However, you know, it really depends on the market demand at the time. It's a lot more for us to manage smaller tenants. However, we don't intend to have, you know, long-term outdoor parking in the front of the building. And I know we kind of went through this when we went through, with Striper Marine going in there. I know we, you know, one of the things when they came to you was just keeping this, you know, boat storage in the back of the building, keeping it neat. So obviously would have to go through the process. It would have to be tenants to meet the zoning, you know, table for this area. And of course would come in front of you, I think, for a special use permit for each of those tenants as well at that time, where, you know, if there were any concerns, we could hopefully address those at that time.
The Market Street is really a little background in terms of the comprehensive plan past and present. Market Street is viewed as a place where there is the possibility for this kind of growth. We've run out of space in Warren for the most part. But in the process of doing that, we want to be very sure that as new buildings like yours go in, they set the stage for what Market Street could look like. If you look at Metacom Avenue, it's ugly. And it's ugly because nobody thought about what kind of landscaping do we want? Where do we want our cars parked? What's our lighting plan? I know that you're asking not to have sidewalks, you know, because the neighboring properties don't have them. But there is a vision in extent that this could be a walkable street. It's a very busy and terrible street to drive on. But if you have sidewalks along there and we start doing that, then I think what we've got is, we're setting the stage for this area that is really underdeveloped to develop. So, that, and also the look of the building. I mean, we went through, a lot of work with AutoZone on Metacom Avenue. And they had a particular look that they had that looked, like the McDonald's of auto manufacturers. And they agreed to actually change their design plan to make it look better. Well, this has really a potential to be even better because you're not dealing with any, corporate logos. And also we have some really nice buildings. TPI Composites is a perfect example of what we would like this area to look like in terms of architecturally. The trees like in this iteration,
Yes.
they're few and far between. I would say that in a preliminary plan, this, you don't come in at the master plan for
Right.
this.
Yeah.
And to speak on that a little more about the infiltration areas that were shown on our site here, those infiltration areas will be fully landscaped, planted, and have, I wouldn't want to testify that we're going to be putting more trees inside the landscape or inside the infiltration area, but there will be a vast variety of plantings, bushing, shrubs, native species, in addition to the trees there.
Yeah.
That, that ideally accentuates it right along Markets.
Right. That,
And that stuff's not shown.
We want to show at least the street trees, because I know that's a major component of the development.
Right.
This was just some renderings. Of course, we'd have to have the architectural.
yeah, and this is really the purpose of the master plan, to give you that, the idea in
You really want that look.
in theory seems good. It's when we get down to the details, and rather than have you come back and be addressing this, the idea of sidewalks. Another thing is where cars park. By moving, for example, the retail forward and putting the parking behind it. And if the architecture,
Well,
go ahead.
there is parking behind it. So
Right.
if you're constant, if we have a row of parking behind it, if it was as simple as moving it up and getting more parking behind it. We've got two-way traffic behind it currently with a strip of
I'll go
parking.
to the other,
I think I.
sorry, it's a little easier to see it.
Right.
There is row parking behind it.
Yeah, so we've got two-way traffic and parking. As you were saying, if we did just shift this up, we would be kind of losing
A lot of
these
parking.
parking spaces. I spoke numbers before. This is about 5% of the parking on the entirety of the site is really in the front. So it's not a significant.
What we could do, another possibility, again, throwing the stuff out, and this is not like demands, this is, these are, is those parking spots, you could put an island or two in there because you have more parking spots than you need. So again, it's a visual that not only benefits the town and this kind of vision of a more aesthetically pleasing place, but also for the businesses themselves. It's those attractive businesses attract people, and
Of course, yeah.
so again, I think, that's something we want to consider in this development as it will be in some ways a showcase for what we would like to see there.
This is our northern gateway. Like, this is our community. Like, this is my forever home for my kids to grow up in. Like, you guys are what people are going to start associating with Warren with, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're there's a lot of potential for this community, and you guys help set the standard. So we're here to work with you. Like, this isn't us versus you. This is like, how do we make this best for you as a developer, economically, right? And then how does it work for us as a community, aesthetically? And I really encourage you to engage in our comprehensive plan. A lot of good information there. I mean, I think, I can't speak for the board, but personally, I think you guys are on the right track here. As a master plan, I think we have a lot more to talk about in preliminary, like such as your tree plan and whatnot, but there's potential here. And, for me as an individual, I don't see any showstoppers. However, do we need to take action on the waivers tonight since they're part of the application? No, or,
So is the major land development, there'll be a preliminary phase where you could we kind of talked about this, so there's, state laws changed quite a bit recently, so this project actually also will fall under unified development review. So it's because they're seeking zoning relief along with the development application, so planning board will be granting the zoning relief, so there's a few things to consider. So we have special use permits associated with the use, because as you know, that rural business district, everything requires special use permit. There is like a limited number of uses there. So kind of have to talk about maybe that use tonight, like let's focus on that. And then there's also within the rural business district, there's those specific standards listed that you guys are starting to mention. Parking in the rear, there's the height, there's other design standards. So those are also those within zoning, so those would also be, relief from those zoning standards that you can grant. So for tonight, I guess we could talk a little bit more about the special use permits you're seeking. So manufacturing is one, the retail, how is that gonna be handled? I guess that's one question. I know we've been in touch with the town, but retail, it says it's not a listed permitted use, because like retail produced on site, is that how the zoning ordinance reads, right? Okay, so that's what it's falling under as far as.
Could you guys maybe clarify what your intent is with that? What's the intent of the town with that,
So
right, that, with that language?
Well, even before we go there, I think we use that because we want to make sure we had adequate parking. Obviously, any uses going in there, we're gonna have to meet the requirements of that area, and we're gonna come in front of you again within that zoning table. But the retail was more restrictive with the parking, and we want to make sure we had adequate parking for the site. So
What's the size of the retail building?
it's about 7,500 square. So intent is to have smaller units there, about
You're looking
3 or
at what,
4
3
units in that
units?
building, so you can have some smaller tenants.
You're looking at 3 units being.
3 to 4.
Four.
I think 4 is shown on there.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to defining the retail use, I think that's a priority. Is you're saying that, Allison, can you repeat what you said about as far as the retail use?
Rural business district, that this retail, there's like a qualifying factor with retail. I think what, again, going through this, probably when this zoning ordinance was written, it's trying to avoid that general business use, like those franchise businesses. So I think that's why it's written like that. They didn't want to just put retail. But
Don't want
there's
a
a fear
McDonald's.
probably of like
Right.
chains and franchise coming in. And so that's probably why so it's worded.
Right, from what I've heard
Sales
from
of
these
goods
guys, they wanna meet
produced
all your
on-site.
requirements. The goal of these guys is to meet the requirements and get approval with those special uses. So the more we understand what your goal is with that, what your intent is, our goal is to meet it.
Well, I mean, the retail produce on site, I guess, is my concern, right? Because it's very limited, and I would hate to see that to where you guys are like limited to a furniture maker, or vertical
That could
cannabis
get
shop, which
difficult.
can't
Yeah,
happen.
I understand. Yeah,
You
that
know,
could
there's
get
only
difficult in
few
certain
retailers that
situations.
produce on site.
Right,
So-
no, I completely agree. I mean, and again, these zoning regulations were not promulgated by this board. We're dealing with zoning regulations, not only in this case, but throughout the town.
Yep.
That have been stagnant for a long time. And one of the problems is the planning board has no time to actually do some of the work on that, but in our comprehensive
Seems like
plan.
you guys have been busy.
So it's the next, the comprehensive plan comes out, and the next step on that, the action steps are actually to change the zoning. However, we don't want to have you waiting around for that to happen, because God knows when it's gonna happen. I mean, this is the plan, the comprehensive plan itself took 10 years of my life away that are no longer there.
I mean,
But
can we so that's my only concern. The retail produce on site, that's really gonna limit, that's like downtown walking Warren. That's what that's meant for. So, I mean, are we strictly enforcing that, or?
So as we listen to this application now, they do have to comply with what is the current regulation, what's allowed, period. There's certainly an opportunity for them in the future, and the council just submitted one of the tables to go before the council and ask for amendment to a specific category or area.
Okay.
That's something that certainly they can do, so you're not really, they know what they're allowed right now. But certainly if they have interest to do something further, that's definitely how we do it.
Have to go through the process, right?
You have to go through the process.
Just like we still have to go through a special use for each tenant anyhow.
And maybe even an amendment to a current
Until that
table to put something in there, as Allison said, it's pretty restrictive as to the uses in that area. And if there's something that they have interest in, and it complies with a comp plan, et cetera, they certainly can apply. We'll get different levels of review, and if it's something that the town wants, and then they can amend that particular area of uses.
Yeah, and to speak to what Rick was moving into before, this is a tricky area for traffic. This is with one entrance and one exit, and Schoolhouse Road is a nightmare. I
And that's really
take
just a
it
secondary,
frequently,
exit.
and
You're
come
coming
out
down
of there.
Schoolhouse Road.
Yeah.
You can't see what's coming out of there until you're on top of it.
And also just getting out of Schoolhouse Road.
We cleared some of those shrubs, so you can see a little better in the corner there. 'cause
Yeah,
dangerous.
it's, again, retail, depending on the volume of retail, I mean, you put a Dunkin' Donuts in there, it's a no-go
Sure.
because of the restrictions. And I think this is one of the concerns why the zoning regulations were put in there, so that you don't have those kind of chain restaurants that are gonna have a tremendous amount of, circulation.
And I think as a town, we're kind of protected at this point, right? Like, we're protected where you guys are very limited on the retailers you can put in here right now. So no matter what, they would have to, most likely, unless it's a small vertical retail shop that manufactures and sells, they're gonna have to come in front of a board, right?
Can you guys elaborate on that? Because we're definitely gonna need a special permit.
So there's, yeah.
It seems like there's a little bit of ambiguity between what you guys want and how it's written. And is that clarified when they're asking the special permit, or do they need to get another step before that where the bylaws are changed or something?
Well, I think there's two things you were talking about. So you guys are talking about updating plans, right? I think in that memo.
Yeah, so right now, so a special use permit, the planning board can grant your special use permit. So anything listed within the current zoning ordinance, including manufacturing, through this process, this board will grant you a special use permit for your manufacturing trade. They can also do the retail use, but it says of retail sales of goods produced on site, so that's why I was bringing it up, that's kind of restrictive, right? So, or any of these other uses currently here. So you don't have to come back for a special use permit. This planning board can grant a special use permit with your major land development out for review.
Here tonight.
Off.
Theoretically.
We would be coming back because we don't have the
But
tenants.
the
list done.
specifics of
Yeah.
what the businesses are is a separate animal.
So-
Yeah.
I had to come when we did Striper,
Yeah.
the pickleball, so I got a pretty good understanding of how it works now.
So
Sounds
the
like,
other,
yeah.
so separately,
That makes sense.
so this rural business district, it was identified in updating the comp plan as a needed. There's been expressed a need to amend that section of the zoning ordinance, because all the uses are requiring a special use permit. So trying to reevaluating what uses are allowed in that district and what are permitted, should be permitted by right versus special use permit, or what should be permitted by special use permit. So that is kind of an item for the town to implement in the next, it's 15 months that you're supposed to implement the zoning ordinances from the town perspective, but I do know there's probably other developers along this border that are interested in possibly amending the zoning ordinance and exploring, that. So anyone can go ahead and apply to amend the zoning ordinance before the town council. So it wouldn't be specific to your site, it would just be a change, like listing another use in the use table here.
So you could always
it's
go
a
through that
global
process.
change. Yeah.
If it was before you amended the zoning bylaws, we could always
You
go through
could
that process.
initiate your own amendment.
That's for anyone, not even specific to a project, just
No,
in general.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
So
I think
you
that
can,
covers.
that's another kind of avenue as far as, the planning board can approve the site plan and approve the special use permits of what's allowed within the current law, but you can go ahead and try to change the ordinance as another separate process. The town's interested in doing that, but looking at it more globally, and it just might take a little time as far as they're gonna go through all the standards. and rewrite it. So if there's a specific use you're looking.
Yes.
For.
And we'd have to come in front.
Like you'd have to amend the zoning board.
And like I said, right now, we have a lot of interest, but no one's willing to move forward until we have a little more concrete project.
I just have a
Anyway.
quick question.
Sure, go.
The light manufacturing is going into the existing building?
No,
That's
not quite. The
pickleball.
light manufacturing is for the new proposed building in the back.
Okay.
Zach can speak more about the kind of use of the existing building, because I know
So-
that's an ongoing.
We've come in front of the board. Striper Marine is on the right-hand side, and then East Bay Pickleball is going in the center portion right now. So those two, that will occupy the whole building at this
Yeah,
point.
the pickleball will eventually occupy the entire,
Not the entire, just the kind of the
The-
left side.
yeah,
of
the
building.
section.
Yeah, the main, where
Yeah.
the original portion.
which will save us from going to Dartmouth.
Exactly. I'm kind of excited. So it's actually coming, it should be open in a few weeks, hopefully. So we'll see.
From a feasibility standpoint,
You guys developed Benny's, right, over in Bristol?
I did,
You did,
yes. Different group, but yeah.
Yeah, but how was it finding tenants for that location? Because, I see the way it turned out, so I'm just curious what your experience was there.
It's good. We really had to go to little smaller units there. To get tenants in, mostly about 2,400 square feet. The bigger tenants there, we didn't have the ceiling height. So we were having trouble attracting the larger tenants. Which is one of the reasons we're going with more of a flex building here, because just from experience, seems like a lot of tenants need the high ceilings, open space, clear span building.
So from your experience doing that development, who do you imagine would occupy this? Like, what type of businesses would occupy this space?
So the front building, maybe not retail, but maybe it's a hair salon, something like that. I'm just saying,
Okay.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
who
I'm not
knows,
holding
but,
tank, I'm just
small
curious.
use, local, that's, those are about 1,800 square feet apiece.
Okay.
So it kind of hits that sweet spot where you get more of a smaller tenant in there. Seems like a lot of them don't want too much more than 2,000, I think just because rent gets expensive and it's hard for a small business to sustain.
Yeah.
The other building though, we are hoping to get a, couple larger tenants in there. We have interest from them, but again,
and the
we need
40,
the timing to work out for them.
the 40-foot height you see as being based on your experience.
So the 40-foot, and I'll let Mike talk on that as well,
Sure.
just because he's been dealing with a lot of tenants as well. That he has some other buildings and properties, and we do have the sloped roof, so it is 40, close to 40 at the center. But at the eaves, we're only actually have about 27 feet clear.
Okay.
And they really need about 25 to 27 for some of the equipment they bring in.
So in order to get the peak roof
Yes.
as opposed to a flat. Yeah, exactly.
Right,
No,
right.
no,
So,
kind of sets out the high point.
yeah.
I see. Okay.
And just for the city, and we did look at the site, and luckily Schoolhouse Road is elevated considerably, so it does help. As you can see from the renderings, it does help,
So I think
not look as big.
a good point was brought up earlier was how did we come to the size of this building, right? And Zach, and we spoke a little bit about it, but really it was the metrics of what tenants were coming to us for and saying, this is our need. So we looked at it and we said, what could we fit on the site based on these needs? That was real enough for us as developers to do that, right? And then we looked into the site and we said, where does this mesh well, right? Because we understand the challenges of the height. And it was really against Schoolhouse because the natural topography kind of blended in pretty well and conceals the height and the massing of that building. We also looked at the sight lines of the buildings and blocking the side view going this way. So on this side, you have Schoolhouse that really conceals the height of the building. And then you have the building from this direction that helps conceal the massing of this building. Put a pent roof on the front, you're proposing some stone facade on the front, just to break up it architecturally, so. I think a lot of thought on our side is going into what would work at the site, we needed to work. You needed to work, everybody needs it to work, right? And what Zach and I have found on other developments is if you are able to break this up, you don't have a site like a Benny's, right? Benny's is a challenging site, because as soon as you lose that tenant, it goes dark, it's like a black eye tenant, right? It's empty, it's unoccupied. With this mixed use development, it never goes dark. It always has people, it always has activity, it always has light, you can always maintain it. You never have that Benny's situation. So I think what Zach did with Benny's was really productive from town in terms of it has a little bit of mixed use, it never will go dark again. And we're finding that works in a lot of these communities where this outdated real estate is not working. So that's the thought process that went to it. But I also like the board is so open to telling us a little bit about what their expectations are. I think sidewalk is helpful to understand. We did accent it with some stone walls, and some landscaping. There are some components that our engineer was not able to share, it was not part of this, but there's a lot of shrubbery and things that go into this bio detention swales in the front, they kind of conceal it. So we would love any feedback you have, so that as we get to the next stages, we can incorporate as much as possible. So if there's anything you would offer, we're all.
I mean, visualize that schoolhouse approach coming south on Market Street, the way it, hides the height of it. Like that visual for me would be a lot better than having you sit here, walk me through it.
Yeah.
So we're saying that we got to 40 feet because we had to pitch the roof. Otherwise, you really only need 27 feet.
We need at least 27, 28 inside, which gives us about 30, maybe 31 outside.
Because 30 is,
close to 30,
is what's
yeah.
allowed anyway.
Yeah, 30 is allowed.
Right.
Correct.
So you're gonna be at 30 feet then?
So if we went to a flat roof, we could theoretically look at that.
What about?
Is anything in the code that says, because a lot of towns put it differently, is it to the peak, is it to the eave, is it to the midpoint?
Well, what if it was like a flat roof with a gable facade and then HVAC screening on the side? Would that contribute to the height? Would that still be considered of a building height itself, since it's an architectural?
I don't know. I mean, I'm partial to the peaked roof for a
Okay.
number of reasons. I mean, not the least of which is runoff and the preservation of the building. I mean, flat roofs, no matter
Yeah.
what you put on there. You
Yeah,
know,
we would
and-
prefer the peaked roof just
Yeah,
for those
okay.
reasons you stated, but, and I think, like you said, if you look at the different angles, it's
Yeah, and I'm not one of
Pretty well
I'm
matched.
just trying to encourage conversation
Yeah.
about it too.
and the scale of the other buildings on site do help, doesn't look out of
Yeah.
place entirely.
In my experience too, with some other cities, where you mentioned those eaves and screenings are not.
Yeah, Schoolhouse Road, except for when you turn in off of Market Street.
Rick, you're gonna have to speak into the microphone because I can't hear you.
When you're turning off of Market Street onto Schoolhouse Road. That land actually sits below the grade of Schoolhouse Road. So even if you were to go to 40 feet, you're gonna lose about 10 feet
10
anyhow.
feet from,
Yeah.
because of the dip.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a
Yeah,
10 foot
actually,
grade change, exactly, yeah,
Right,
it's
so
10
the
feet.
10 to the 27.
17 to 27,
or
yeah.
17, right.
That's why I was concerned with the traffic entering onto School Street from your parking lot.
And-
On.
Because you're
Street,
coming
taking a
up the
right.
grade and somebody coming down Schoolhouse can't see it.
We
I
did
think
clear a
the
lot
goal
of
is to
that
keep
under
traffic
line.
flow similar and utilize that main entrance.
Yep.
Primarily.
School also be a secondary, case of extenuating circumstances. but-
I use Schoolhouse all the time. I just don't want to see an accident there.
Yeah.
But we did clear a lot of underlying brush that helped a little bit. It was the thorns were pretty thick. over
Yes.
there.
Yeah, I think you guys
Well,
have
better.
proven yourselves, like, as from the we always ask about construction phase, and I know this is part of the master plan, but I've watched the work you do there. I think we appreciate you guys cleaning that lot up and,
Thank you.
so far, so good.
Yeah, means a lot. Thank you.
I appreciate also the understanding, the master plan, kind of what we're dealing with now and the expectations moving forward. It's great to set, have.
And
it
again,
clear.
like, when, and the side, it's actually the front of the building, but it's short front of that. The more that can be done with architectural detailing, and, I'm not gonna get into the, the cornices and the but that is important. I mean, and again, I'd go back to TPI composites, when you look at that
Something
building.
like this area.
No, I'm
Yeah.
more
Oh, the TPI, yeah,
the front that's
side there, the
facing,
front, the front.
yeah.
middle
when
there,
you
they
look
did.
at TPI, I mean, that's revolutionary. If you look at
Yeah.
magnetic seal right next to it, it's a typical old fashioned, manufacturing building, kind of low and without any character. And again, not that expensive, but worth it in not only goodwill, but also in terms of the aesthetic that we're hoping to develop in that Market Street area.
Yes, no, definitely want the front of that, that
And
front facade.
Lighting is another thing, the lighting plan would come preliminary. I'd say as much shielded lighting as possible.
Dark sky
This-
compliant.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Pointed down.
Absolutely.
Leaking onto the.
Completely.
obvious.
Because that's the kind of thing that I think most of the, the Conservation Commission, the Historic District Commission, this is, and I share their concerns. You want we don't want this place to look like Cranston,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Where
want it to be well
we
lit and
have this
safe,
opportunity
that's
to,
it,
to
yeah.
transform a business zone into something that is friendly and could potentially sustain residential at some point.
Right.
I mean, this is a major thoroughfare.
Right, you're right on the line of practical and beautiful,
And
Yeah,
maintaining.
yeah,
And I think like we want to respect your performer, right? So like this is your job, like you understand what we're looking for here as we go on. Budget your performer. There's other places where you can probably save money on this project, but add to the aesthetics of our schoolhouse side and our Market Street side. So in regards,
Plantings are big, that front facade facing.
our tree commission is very passionate and we, we've shown a lot of support to our tree commission throughout the year. So I encourage you to, reach out to them. A concern I'm gonna bring up as we move forward into a preliminary plan, if this goes forward, is traffic, right? The level of service on Market Street, on Schoolhouse, go down Schoolhouse a little bit more if you can. Like, what's that level of service on Kinnicott and those roads down there? Just show that we want to see what the change, if there is an impact on level of service. This is highly pedestrian traffic. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic. Think about that as you guys start to move forward on this project and how you're going to educate us on mitigating measures you're going to do, because what's going to happen if that pedestrian traffic, they want to come into your area. We do have a lot of people that ride bicycles. I'd hope to see bicycle racks on here. So this is nothing to do with today, just kind of, you guys are going to go back and start working on it. There's priorities of work for you that would help make this easier as we go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, this is advertised as a public hearing. At some point, we'd ask the applicants if they know their presentation, please see, open up the public hearing. Just put it on the record.
yeah, no, we will for sure. Any other questions or concerns?
In a couple thoughts, so the parking, so I know you're seeking relief from previous, like the lot coverage, right? So, but you're exceeding park, so is there an opportunity to change those
So-
9 parking spaces into space?
We could look at that. We just wouldn't want to, like you said, not have enough parking, because I know you brought up a good point. The ordinance only requires 10 spots for 20 employees, but in reality, are they all gonna have a car? Most likely, most of them, maybe not all of them. So we're all for it. We just want to make sure we have adequate parking.
Yeah, again, islands, like
I-
recommended for in front of retail,
That's a good-
that the parking can be broken up.
I just wonder, because it's a mix of use, like the opportunities for shared parking, like there's gonna be times where pickleball is happening and manufacturing, there's no employees there, right? So like maybe kind of coming up with a table there to demonstrate that.
We'll
you
take a
know,
look at it,
You don't
definitely.
necessarily need all the parking
So that would
because
be,
people it's gonna be active, certain uses are active at different times of day, therefore.
we can take a look.
Zach put a lot of emphasis on this in terms of every time we come for a special use permit, it's hot button items. Parking, so we wanted to make sure we had access, right?
Slightly excess, not major excess. We don't want to have 100 extra spots.
No, but it's,
9 spots.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Just wanted to
we
make
do
sure.
need to add the islands, that's already something to do, so we're gonna decrease our purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's-
From my engineering point of view, that's something I want for runoff and pervious. I mean, it's a.
Yeah.
And if you're right there, like get it to 60%. I mean, it's, I'm not saying get it to, I'm not saying you have to, but I'm saying if there's spots like you're like, hey, these are emergency spots, is there potential like for phase 2, if in the event we need these spots in order to maintain compliance with the parking that we need to have, and then impervious pervious surfaces? I mean, could you expand those down the road, potentially those extra?
We take a look at it, some of that, but
Put the percentage, I mean, this site, I don't have the number, but it's a very big site, it's like 4 or 5 acres. If we took away,
7.5 acres. Yeah.
if we took away 20 parking spaces, I genuinely think the percentage might drop by half. We really, to meet 60, it'd be a lot.
We can look at the island zone,
But we're definitely
mitigate a little
wanna
bit.
have
We can mitigate as much as possible, for sure.
It's not.
Yeah, within this too, there's I don't know if you've talked to the fire chief, but, you know, there are concerns about bringing in the equipment and turning radiuses and stuff.
So I should have brought that up before. Some of the parking lot design, not all of it, some of that did take some of that into account. We'll still have to review it with him further, but
Right.
he did want access around at least 3 sides of the building.
Yeah, I'd want to make
So-
sure that, you know, you get in front of the fire chief.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for that. Given the fact, is this 2-story that manufacturing
It's
facility?
1 story. I mean, they could theoretically do
Become
something
2.
inside, but there's no intention of that right
Okay.
now. You know,
Alright,
it's
so it's
mainly
a-
so they can have the
it's
high
a space.
ceilings. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Just for the longer
you'll
term
build
plans we're looking at.
to accommodate or, you know,
A lot of them need just open space, but we would accommodate as needed
I
to.
mean, it says like offices or,
Yep.
you know, a place to drive a truck in if it's.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of them need both. They kind of need a little office space and also some,
It's tennis.
yeah, but it'd be very specific based on the tenant there.
So these are kind of conceptual, but you're gonna have an architect prepare architectural rendering, the
Yep.
elevations here, so,
Sure, I think, yeah, for the next phase, we need those first.
yeah, so, I mean, any opportunity again, I think it's out like the aesthetic. The scale of things, so.
And
taking it
those-
as I know it's a manufacturing
Yeah.
building, but any opportunity to break up this long wall plane, you know, like, a lot of times there's a break in the facade, but, you know, even with material, like, changing things, so it doesn't have.
We'll look at building mass and breaking it up to something. There's some challenges
Yeah.
with this type of use, you need a square box. to work.
Yeah,
Right.
Racking doesn't work well in jobs.
Yep.
so that's why I was saying maybe some facade change or something that, you know.
Facade,
Yeah.
yeah.
visually-
Put some breaks every couple days. We'll take a look at that.
Yeah, we don't, the inside's your space. Like, we're not telling you what to do on the inside. Just help us meet what we envisioned in our comprehensive plan
Focus on that front facade, but then also try to,
and the
Break that
schoolhouse
up a
side
bit.
too.
yeah, in schoolhouse. That's it. Well, it's very bad.
Yeah, no, well, it's.
Well, they mainly focus on that front facade. They did a nice job on it, right in the middle of the building there.
Yeah,
And they pretty much painted the rest of it, but it
did-
really made it pop.
it's still a big building,
Yes.
you know, that's wide open. But when you look at it from the outside, it looks like an office, you know, and it's the use of glass and it's, you know, it will attract tenants, I'm sure, you know, particularly this one. I mean, TPI, the difficulty is that's a whole unit, you know, it's like TPI's there and from what I understand, they're leaving.
Really? Oh, wow.
You know, I heard that through the grapevine, but you know, this, I think you have greater opportunity because as you said, you're not relying on one tenant and so you don't have a black eye, you know.
Exactly.
So that's appealing.
Okay.
You know, in terms of the
That's
design.
what we want.
and
Want
what your
people in
vision-
town. Keep them there too.
Anything else? Allison or any of them?
No, also,
Okay, again, you know, I think
Foundation, we don't know that.
Sure, we didn't get it that far into the
Yeah,
landscaping
I know.
plan yet, but I see what you mean there. Yeah.
And yeah, again, the circulation, even internal to the site, you know, I know what the next level is.
Is that something you guys want to see? I mean, I'm well versed in using some of the turning maneuver software to draw fire trucks, and I'll have those conversations with the fire chief. I can certainly draw the cars and the turning maneuvers of the cars on the site.
I mean,
But
for
in
me,
general,
we've
it-
accounted
it's
for the
pretty
A letter from the
Yeah,
fire
Yeah,
chief
yeah.
is-
yeah, I'm
But
more
larger-
concerned about the fire chief.
Yeah.
as long as we have a letter, you don't have to do the dog and pony show on the drawings for us. It's really the fire chief's giving you an endorsement and saying that
This
Correct.
works.
Yeah, yeah.
We will definitely review it with him again.
he's our professional.
He's mainly concerned with the
Yeah.
widths and the radiuses.
Yeah.
Which we,
He also may have concerns about a fire hydrant somewhere, you know, a service hydrant. I'd just be prepared for that. Again, out of our,
sure,
you know, wheelhouse, but
we'll check with him.
definitely in his, you know.
Okay.
Okay, why don't we open this public hearing? Because I know there are people clamoring to speak. Can I have a motion to open?
Motion to open the public hearing?
A second?
second.
Second, that was Rick, Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I assume I can,
No, she could speak as a member of the
She's-
public, right?
yeah.
No, not, when you.
I like value her opinion. Love to have.
Off the
Every day.
It's internal of the trust.
Um,
No,
He said no.
no.
no, you
Yeah,
can't. No.
he said no.
Her role with the trust and
Yeah.
it's the factor why our recommendation is that.
You know, so again, and this is rather unusual, but often in a master plan, you do have folks who are commenting. You know, a preliminary plan, there may be some folks. You're in a place where, you know, you don't have a lot of neighbors who are gonna have a problem with this. So, and you've already begun the work on the pickleball, facility, so, you know, the more buttoned down you are, when it comes to preliminary, the easier I think it'll be. And, you know, we certainly don't want to go over master plan decisions, you know, or comments that where you've spent money, you know, I mean, this is, our intent is not to create financial hardship for you, it's to avoid that, really. If you meet the criteria that we have set forward, and I think the most difficult thing here would be going to the town council and asking for specific changes. Whether the town council would say, okay, for this thing, or more likely, we need to do the whole area. You know, in terms of those changes.
Council will probably send it back to us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
Don't even have a, yeah. Planning board for a recommendation from the council adopts.
right. But they have to go before the town council to get to that point. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I mean,
Which component specifically we need to go to council?
Well, that would be use that wasn't allowed for the science table.
the
Yeah.
retail, the
Yeah.
particular, it right now, it'd be like, you could put in a, you
The
know, a
retail
fudge
component.
maker, for example. You know, because they make the fudge and they sell it there, or, you know, apple cider or whatever, but that, or, you know, purses, hair salon, those kinds of things I think would be okay, but as soon as you get into somebody buying product, bringing it in and reselling it, I think, was that the problem? And
Yeah, so currently.
If you were to bring a Benny's in, it wouldn't work.
Within a zoning ordinance, there's a use table. Yeah, it's not retail, general retail, right? So if there's, if you wanted to. Have it up for an
Well, we
amendment,
could
that would-
proceed with our application based on retail as in this, we're obviously going for special use, so that happens now.
Yeah.
It's at our. Right?
You guys alluded to that, the special use is kind of granted tonight, isn't it?
You can, the planning board
Could be.
could vote.
So we'd have to have tents.
Do they need to have a tenant?
no,
specific?
no, for the proposed general use without specifics, and the manufacturing, which is allowed anyway. And the pickleball, they already went through zoning for that, or-
Happened
Yeah, correct.
previously.
That went so, that ain't go.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that meeting, so yeah, that was its own.
I mean, that, you know, was that considered part of the special rural business? I mean, I'm not, this will in no way impact that. I'm just curious
I
because.
don't think it's one of the old thing.
Yeah. We haven't updated zoning since COVID, so.
Yeah. Decision. Remember the language?
Commercial
Okay,
recreation
yeah.
structure. Was a commercial recreation. structure.
There it is, yes, listed, yeah, commercial recreation.
Okay, all right, great.
That's a hard-
Here's your table. Those are the allowable uses there. I mean, I don't see an issue granting a use within the table. It's already granted.
So weird. I think it was based on almost like farm stands.
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
as we said, outdated.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was that this was all farms and, you know, you might have a farm stand. You know, that kind of thing, and the farms are gone.
Question.
There is one. I don't want to get into what we got into with that one.
Retail and services.
Okay,
It seems like there might be some, so the applicant is definitely wanting to see the special use permits for manufacturing and retail, how it's worded. In rural business, retail as.
At a minimum, the manufacturing.
Okay.
So either way, I believe it. Yeah, just the manufacturing. We can leave it how it's worded, and they just have the.
That there's, the other waivers are kind of line specific and you haven't quite finalized possibly those, so that's why maybe it pulled up, till the
preliminary.
preliminary plan when they have more details.
If we get waivers for those, like specifically the lot coverage and the height, you know, they are not entirely designed, but they would only decrease. Did you guys make a motion to vote on the waivers as we have them now? If we-
No.
Yeah, we have to hold off, especially even the height of the building, I'd like the architectural elevations that actually show the measurements, you know, we can't vote.
Right.
Have
Prove
to-
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is very high level and I wouldn't want to move it. I wouldn't make a motion on any waivers right now.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, this is the point of master plan and allows you to move forward and, you know, gives you momentum. I don't, you know, you've heard the concerns, you know, lot coverage, it to some degree, but again, you know, mitigation of impervious surface is really the, you know, to some degree, the solution. It's, you know, massing, and the look is important. This is different than a residential development, in that, you know, the size of the buildings is a different approach that we would take to a residential development, but again, as I said, because this has the potential to fit into that mouthful of broken teeth that is, you know, Market Street right now, we're hoping to, you know, get a good set of choppers in there at some point, and this is one of them. And it looks good. I mean, you've done due diligence and you've presented a very good proposal, and I think that there's room to move here, but it's not, I think the master plan approval is the idea that your overall concept has merit and value. So, so our approval of the master plan would be without approval of any of the requested waivers at this point, or no?
Yeah, so technically speaking, under the Unified Development Approach, which an applicant is presented a major land development in addition to asking for relief of zoning ordinances, height, surface, et cetera. In order, and that's the default that the law throws us into when the applicant comes before you with this type of project and asks this relief, is that we have to address the variances or the special use permits prior to making a decision on the master plan stage.
But they could still come back in preliminary with additional waivers or the same waivers again.
They could come back with additional, they could. Yes.
So we need to vote on the height coverage.
Under the Unified Development Review process, I think similar to what we just did prior to, is the law allows this board to act. Traditionally, you would hear that, they would go before the zoning board, it'd come back here, but now under the new approach is you handle everything. However, it is very specific in terms of procedurally what the board has to do first, and that's address special use permits, the variances that they requested prior to approving the master plan. So this kind of puts us in a pickle because I believe the board is probably leaning towards approval of the master plan. However, we really haven't discussed the variances, the technical aspects of it. So it leaves us in a little situation here that procedurally, we got to make sure we follow it correctly, and nobody here wants an appeal on a bad decision.
in my experience with some of the variances on past projects, and this isn't for unified development, but just that if you get a variance or setback or whatever it is, if you decrease that variance, we were asking for 66%. If master plan or preliminary plan, we come back with a 65% impervious or a 64% impervious, then that's all well and good, I think, right? Or not?
I would say it's not, because when you make that decision on a variance, you have to tell the board, hey, we need this. This is why we need this amount, right? And with facts and evidence to support that. If later on I say, guess what? I really don't need that. It's kind of defeats the whole intent of the law that says, hey, I need this in order to fully enjoy my property, and this is why you put those facts on. So we're kind of in a procedural pickle here. I understand what the board wants to, want.
Well, I mean, this is unusual,
Yeah, that's
with
pushing past
unified.
master plan feels, but I understand it's a pickle, but it does feel like a past master plan. sort of thing.
I think the first thing we need to do is close the public hearing, because it was opened.
Want to continue? Do we continue it and then get the additional material and then next month you go to approve?
That's probably the cleanest way of doing it, is we continue this public hearing to next month. The applicant has heard what the board is leaning towards, right? Without anything concrete. It's very clear the things they want to look at, the things they want to see, how they look at this whole project in terms of if we went to just a master plan approval today. I think you can read the room in terms of that. So if we continue this till next month and you provide enough detail that this board can address those the variances and the special use permit with specifics, we approve that or conditionally approve those things, and then we look at them and then the approval of the master plan application. Procedurally, that's what the law tells us.
So
That's
what
always
would
a third month.
the specifics be? Only because I know we're kind of jumping ahead to almost the final. The preliminary plan approval. We're
Well, you came with 4 waivers
I was just looking.
or
at
3.
Stages, like master and preliminary.
I'm just trying to make sure we know what those items.
I think that would, if we could do a master preliminary, I mean, it feels like you're asking for all of preliminary, which is
That's
reasonable.
not
given-
Well,
What's that?
if we go to preliminary, we're gonna expect a lot more.
Well, but it sounds like for us to guarantee the exact percent of impervious in the exact building height for our variance, that's what they're saying they want. I mean, to answer that, we have to do
We're
preliminary.
gonna have to have almost complete architecture.
Can I make I mean, I joined this board because I want to see efficiencies, right? I don't want to see this get dragged out.
Right, yeah.
If we deny, right, the lot coverage, let's say, for the sake of progressing this application, can they come back for that lot coverage? And it's like, actually, we only need 65%. We want to request that waiver in preliminary. This way, procedurally, we're doing the right thing and we're addressing the waiver.
No, a
No.
denial of a waiver, it takes a 1 year. to come
Yeah.
back.
Okay, I just wanted to ask. I didn't know.
Can we just add, can we
the
apply to
waivers?
master plan without waivers and then apply to preliminary with our waivers?
Just give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
I see the pickle. I see the pickle
Yeah.
completely.
I'm trying to help.
I'm just asking because it sounds like we're gonna need all the material for the.
That's what I'm hearing,
That's-
is that, right, we're gonna present stuff that would essentially be preliminary.
But we would just want to make sure we had master plan approval to move forward with the
Right,
architecture.
right.
So looking at the law, it does allow, it does allow combination for the board to combine the master and the preliminary. Okay, so my thought process is that the board today makes a motion to combine both. Okay, I think that will get us over the hump in terms of.
There's no way of removing the variances for master today. And then we apply for all the variances at preliminary, because I think they've
At
got
that
to move more
combined
on the
master and
tenants if they have
preliminary.
the
We're
master.
trying not to have another meeting.
Agreed, agreed. We're on the same
Unnecessary
page.
meeting. And if we can pull those two together, I mean, you've seen, it's not, there's not there's no major issues
Yeah.
here, what we're
We
looking
want the rest of
at.
the information.
I mean, even,
finalized.
the height thing,
So
I
we will
don't,
come back next month if we combine it and handle the master and the preliminary. Next month.
And the final will be administrative, is that?
I am looking to see, it's a major.
Yeah.
Will you guys be prepared next
question
month?
for you.
Because it's.
We can, Should be.
Well,
able
you
to
know,
get this
the only one concern that I have about this, and this is not your issue, it's ours, is next month we have another meeting on that residential development, which has been highly contentious.
Well, we don't be applicant, I guess, but I also on them as far as, are they gonna be ready to see next month, but they may need a little more time to, as far as.
How long to would have to submit materials?
I mean, I'd rather give them more time.
Got a question for you.
Yeah, they-
On your height variance, can you get by with 35 feet?
We can look at that. I just wouldn't want to lower the pitch, the angle of the roof too much, but
No.
I can take a look
Yeah,
at
if
it.
you can get it down to 35 feet, then you don't need a variance.
No, you still do, because.
That area is 30.
What do you?
It's 30.
Yeah, the other area is at 35. I know, yeah.
Approval? Like, as
That's
the
right.
applicant, what's your expectations coming into this board today? Was it, hey, we're gonna get master plan approval, we can go to our investors, we can go to our potential, like, what's your needs? today?
Yeah, I think that's a very
Yeah.
good synopsis of what needs to happen next. So the next portion of this is there's gonna be a lot of money spent on architectural, spent on engineering. We want to have an understanding that this board is approving the master plan before we go and deploy all this capital to do that, and then come back at a preliminary and have it all say, no, that's not what we think.
I know.
So
Can
that's.
can they just withdraw waivers? Can they, as an applicant, withdraw their waivers?
So for the, it's definitely this.
Sorry, yeah.
And,
Just trying to help. And,
Thank you guys.
what's the answer to that question?
Major land
I thought
development,
this was-
UDR court.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, this is one of the problems. We're dancing in the dark here because we've not done it.
Totally respect it.
But at the same time, you know, the purpose of this is, you know, to give us some power over what could conceivably be a bad development. From what I've seen, this is not a bad development. And what we want to do is be fair to the applicant and not create a situation where you're spending money prior to the time when you need to spend that money.
And we respect that.
We do.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're looking out for the town, but we're also looking out for you folks because you're gonna be part of the team. You know, this is.
Yeah.
But it's important that we have that legal
Yeah.
approval of this because too many times in the past and.
It would be unlikely to prepare.
And I think, you know, if necessary, we can have, this is a special meeting, we can have another special meeting. I would not wanna shoehorn this in to our next meeting, because I don't know how long that's gonna last, and it's only going until 9:30, you know, at most.
So I gotta tell you that my job is to make sure that I protect the assets of the town of Warren. Sure.
Right.
And because we're taking that approach today, it's very clear that to me that these variance and special use permits have to be addressed prior to. It even allows you to alter them later on. However, the board's clear that they don't have.
allow you to alter them later on?
However, the board does not have any fine detail today, and later on when you start to deal with it, guess what? I can't do this anymore because something just popped up. That's what it allows to do, some alteration. However, the board is very clear in saying they need more specifics in order to grant those variances in special use permit. So my recommendation to the board is you can't approve these variances without specifics that you're asking for. That's how you can grant variances and special use permits. And I have to protect the assets of the town. For example, if they give you that today, it's yours. All that relief is yours, right? The applicant's will. And that's the bottom line of it. So we can combine it, come back next month. The master.
Or
the
within a
preliminary-
month.
Can I ask a question of the
Oh,
board?
yeah.
Regarding variances, you know, we mentioned the parking or the islands, and I know that the percentage is gonna would change very minimally. Like, I know you expressed that you weren't comfortable voting specifically on like the building height and the impervious. I mean, with that in mind, that the impervious wouldn't change very much with Adams landscape, would you guys feel comfortable on voting on? What's holding you back specifically for a 40-foot relief and a 66% relief at this point?
The side of the building.
I'm not, I don't know drainage, so like just an expert telling me how the drainage is gonna be.
That we'd have to see a drainage plan.
Well,
So.
Yeah.
And you're taking away, you're impacting that with your relief or with your,
We
variance you're requesting. So
We still apply to all the state agencies that, you know, we meet all these regulations. You guys at the end of the day are saying
No,
66, well, not just give you, but my understanding is that you're saying 60, you're okay with 66%. We still need to get Rhode Island DEM approvals for that 66%.
Right.
Meeting this one.
So we obviously know, we've run the preliminary calcs, well, obviously you need the final calcs.
I'm very confident that we're gonna be this. With 66%. I got.
Yeah, I know, just for me to vote.
You need the final calcs.
Unless I'm wrong, right? This is fair, you know, we need a line on them to bring.
You put a
experts in.
condition
I
on
appreciate you saying
approving
it fairly confident, but to give us a high level of confidence.
Doesn't mean
yes,
approve
this is
it.
what
We
we
approve it
should-
without DEM's
Submitting the
approval?
calculation.
Well, no, I mean, isn't it conditional upon DEM's ability to,
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
so I'm not sure why that, you know, that's the thing.
It's
We're not
DEM's
approving it and then DEM says it doesn't work. It's gotta work. It's gotta meet, and their standards are very high for impervious surfaces. So they've gotta have a drainage plan that works. The height of the building, I mean, quite frankly, is not for me a sticking point. You know, I'm,
The drainage is conditional on DEM.
yeah, and you know, you may want to dump the sidewalks thing as a requested waiver.
We can dump it.
You know.
We're willing to,
So
the intent.
I'm not sure we can't, I don't know why we wouldn't be able to approve these variances.
So, yeah, it's up to the board, how comfortable you are with what material, I mean, the special use permit for manufacturing, like, and we could, you know, then go through some of it, but if you wanna, if you're comfortable moving forward with some, and then at preliminary, they come forward with more of the specific design related ones that aren't.
So-
Aren't confirmed yet.
So, Mr. Chair, so if the board is apt to give approval of some, even one or two, certainly, it does allow us the applicant to come back and request new or additional zoning relief at the stage of the preliminary stage. So I'd rather see if you're comfortable with something in terms of giving them either the special use permit or a variance, issue it. If not, let's not address that, and you're gonna have to bring that back to the preliminary plan. Is that
That's fair.
acceptable? So it allows the board to not make a decision on things they're not comfortable with tonight, but you're gonna have to bring them back to preliminary as either new or additional zoning.
Works for me.
So if there's any particular special use permit or zoning that the board feels comfortable with, let's discuss that.
You know, no, we were,
Wait, do we close public?
yeah, do we close the public hearing at this point?
Don't we already do?
Correct, you do, and I would just commit to let the applicant know that if you come back, if they don't accept something tonight, approve a variance tonight, you come back at the preliminary plan with a variance again because they didn't address it tonight, it's gotta be a public hearing, it's gotta be noticed again, and you bear that burden of the financials. Okay, I just wanna put on the record, that's how
Yep.
we can kind of get our.
That makes sense. Okay,
Correct.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Second, Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so this would be, do we vote on each one of the variances or
You can
simply?
discuss each variance and kind of get a consensus as to what the board feels, if there's something they're comfortable with. If not, certainly go to the next one, and if there's one that the board feels comfortable, certainly somebody can make a conditional approval of that special use permit or a variance. And then the applicant's gonna know exactly what they're gonna have to reapply for during the preliminary plan. with
Okay, again,
notice.
so let's start with the four waivers. The first is the height, 30-foot max, proposed 40. We've discussed the fact that the 40 is the peak roof, not a 40-foot height. And the purpose behind that is that they have their experience in other developments is that this is an attractive feature and doesn't seem to me to be in any way an impediment or a problem at this site. So that's the first one. Anyone have any concerns or questions about that?
I make a motion, we approve the height variance.
No, anyone, we're all good with that?
And that's to avoid a flat roof.
And
40
what,
foot is for,
For a-
not a flat.
for a peak and not a
roof,
flat roof,
not
in,
flat.
in concurrence with the rural business, zoning. Second one is lot coverage, 60% max, proposed 66%. What is 69.9% by alternative calculation, Allison?
I can speak to that. Yeah.
Why don't you show me?
Here,
Okay.
There's a lot that needs to be merged as part of it.
Shouldn't that be?
No, there is, the zoning bylaws state that, vaguely, abutting lots of the same ownership can be, or surface area of abutting lots under common ownership can be used in your impervious area calculation. Considering that the owner owns this abutting lot,
Oh, I see.
taking into account that abutting lot, it's 66%.
I see.
Not, and inversely, just the one is 69. But the bylaws say specifically that the calculation can be done without officially merging them.
Okay. All right.
I make a motion, we approve.
Well, before we get there, I just wanted to go through these so we can discuss each one of the waivers.
So we're doing each one by itself.
Yeah. And so height, there were no objections. Lot coverage. Objections?
I mean, I think under,
The applicant motivated anyway. You know, I don't.
Add the islands.
I mean,
So reducing our stormwater burden reduces dollars spent in projects. So the more we can lower it, it's advantageous.
I think speaking to that, the intent for us to continue to move forward is that by lowering the impervious, even if you are granting this, we still want to minimize our impervious area because that reduces the amount of.
Well, again, what you could do if this is, I mean, if it's an issue, you can come back at preliminary and ask for this. Right?
Well,
That's still getting the.
we're approving it. based
Yeah.
on-
I would-
no,
I would-
What we're looking,
I would prefer to see this at preliminary. Am I wrong?
no, well, no, but if we can we've got two, we've got the first one, lot coverage, the height rather. Lot coverage, the question is that, does that require a tremendous amount of work to change,
Well, I would say yes in design, because if we can figure out the design, we can come back with those exact stormwater calculations to provide. But if we have to go back and redesign all our stormwater calcs because at the next stage, we did not get our relief that we're seeking, we'd have to go through that entire process.
Yeah.
So
I
it would be a burden on the applicant.
uh-huh. Thoughts?
Does that need DEM approval?
Yes.
It will, yeah.
Move that we go with approval based on DEM approval.
That's conditional.
Yeah, I'm aligned with that. I mean, I think we have to trust these agencies to do their job and vet these properly, and they're the subject matter experts, so I concur.
Anything else? Okay, the third one was the building size. 39,000 if permissible, facades over 40 are broken with architectural articulation.
I don't think we're satisfied in the architectural articulations yet. I think that's, you guys have yet to
That's
satisfy.
preliminary.
Back.
Okay, and the sidewalks,
Hold on,
We'll address the sidewalks.
okay,
You see, looking to how they tie together.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
between, but it seems like we're gonna have a sidewalk that dies on both ends, doesn't have a sidewalk.
I know,
That
I
leads
mean-
to future development, as you said, so, I mean, if that's what it is.
I appreciate it, I know what
Also
you're
goes
saying.
to
and-
aesthetics.
and-
What's that?
Also goes to aesthetics of the property.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So you're withdrawing it now, but I mean, you have the right to come back for this later on. I mean,
Sorry, we'll address it on the landscape in the site plan.
right,
So,
okay.
thank you guys.
So what we're doing would be to approve the master plan And two variances, the height and lot coverage.
And the special use permits, address that.
And the special use permits
Yes.
for,
Can we just knock this out though with the variances? Can we just knock those motions out now?
So I can guide you if you wish.
yeah,
So the first one would be a motion to conditionally approve variance, allowing the applicant to go propose to 40 feet when 30 feet is the max. And then, so somebody's gotta make that motion.
So we'll go through each one by one.
Yep,
Yep.
that's a conditional approval.
Yeah. As a conditional approval, I make a motion to grant the variance for to exceed the 30-foot building height for the proposed 40-foot building height.
Need a second?
Second that.
all
Second
in
that.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's the same thing with the next.
I make a motion to approve
Conditionally approved.
to conditionally approve the lot coverage to exceed the 60% max for the proposed 66.1% under the condition or with DEM,
With the condition.
with the condition of the appropriate DM approval and permits.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that's it. But for those variances, now the special use,
So you can address special use now if you wanna request any special use for the property.
So as discussed, we would like to have the use for the industrial space and the retail as allowed per the current zoning.
That's to a special use permit.
Yes.
So therefore, I make a motion as outlined in the rural business zoning district, Article 28, Section 32-166, under the table of permitted uses to approve this special use request. Is that a line?
Second.
second, Rick, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next special use? That's it.
Well, that was
What, the
that was the, yeah, what about the retail?
Well, the retail's in there, so now they're we agree that it's within the permitted uses, therefore retail sale of goods produced on site. It's up to the applicant to address it if they need to do anything other than that.
Discussed.
As far as we're concerned, we approve them to follow this table.
Correct.
Why did we need a special use permit?
It's required by town ordinance.
Yeah,
Any use in that area, that table is, requires a special use
Okay,
permit.
for that particular table?
Now, I would ask procedurally applicant to rescind the building size and sidewalks with the condition that it will be addressed and brought back possibly during the preliminary. That's fair.
Sure. So we'll rescind our waiver for the building size and the sidewalks as we
That's-
requested until the preliminary site plan approval.
Motion to accept that?
motion to accept that?
Second.
No,
Yes. Motion.
all right, I made the motion, I'm trying not to. All in favor?
Aye.
So now that's.
Okay for me to make,
Yeah, that's fine.
all right,
And now finally is the master plan approval.
does that need to go with those conditions that, the four?
Everything was, all those things. you
No,
just
no,
said.
I mean,
Yeah, yes, yeah. You can say, a motion to approve the master plan, application as presented with all the conditions that the board has stressed.
And waivers.
It, correct, during tonight's, application process.
Okay.
And
So-
if anybody has anything specific, you can certainly add to it as a condition of approval of the master plan.
I make a motion to
You-
approve.
Just real quick, I'm curious if you're gonna add the condition of DEM, which is.
That
fine.
DM
Which is
condition,
fine. Right,
yeah.
It's.
Well, it's already added. Look, we have a
Right,
town
right,
to
that's right.
protect, right? Like,
Sorry.
we're just doing our due diligence.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Yeah, yeah.
So, I need a motion to approve the master plan with the approved waivers and the special use permits allowed by the board.
I make that motion.
All right,
Mr.
Rick
Chair.
made that motion.
I would also suggest to include, information that is requested or advised by the town planner, she has requests from the applicant going forward, exact setback dimensions, architectural elevations, landscape plan, and access and circulation exhibit, et cetera. I'll give you a copy exactly of these conditions.
All of those points that were discussed.
Circulation exhibit, is that just the fire chief approves that?
Yeah.
Or are you looking for full circulation? So two different things.
No, I'm looking for the fire chief.
But I think that's asking for a circulation plan.
I can show, I mean, I can do it with the fire truck, I can do it with the cars, or potentially your point of that, it doesn't matter. I could do, yeah, I mean, the fire trucks.
Is that, you're looking for a more fulsome?
Very, this touches on a lot of different things that should be addressed, like I mentioned, tonight, shared parking, so if that's something that could be, beneficial to the site, but internal circulation, not showing us where the cars that we're pushing back,
Yeah,
like you don't have an arrow showing where the cars are.
I can just show how the cars are gonna be driving through it. Not like, it's not paint stripes all over the ground with arrows, but just visually, cars can move this way, they can move that way.
We definitely do wanna,
We'll go with
we
the
do,
fire
we do
truck.
wanna do the,
A stripe.
from a circulation, we may want some arrows because, when we were dealing with Tourister, people coming out onto Main Street, we actually made 3 or 4 different means of egress because you want the folks who are going this way are going to get out more easily than the ones that are going this way. So and in this case, particularly knowing the problems that we can conceivably run into with Market Street and Schoolhouse Road, I think we want to be very careful that the circulation is not left to the imaginations of the drivers, but is in fact much more
Sure.
specific. Does that
Okay.
answer it, that Allison?
Yeah, I mean, you're,
Signage, as the signage painted, the fire chief is so, they could definitely show how cars are moving through effectively.
and pedestrians, I mean, and like Blake mentioned, bike rack, you're getting into more details here, but anything that shows obviously. Pedestrians are shooting from the site, and the landscaping plan by a landscape architect,
And lighting.
exterior lighting plan for like.
These are all like typical.
Architectural.
Yeah.
elevation. So
But these
just
are all also gonna be conditioned.
for next,
That, yeah, that's what, because they are already on check, but I mean, it's
Sure.
fine if you condition.
We're going to.
Is it, it's not. Okay,
planning
cool.
board can request material.
Yeah,
I
sure,
think
sure.
it's helpful to get that feedback, do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely, I appreciate
Know what
everyone.
they're-
So we want to have that on the record, the request that we've made.
It's not, I would say it's conditional on the after plan approval, but you're, I mean, I'm gonna. it's
So-
gonna be included in the record of this meeting that you're requesting this material.
Yes.
for the next
So it's a request for the preliminary plan, request at the time of the preliminary plan. Okay,
And so somebody made a motion, correct?
Yeah.
And the motion is based on the following, that the board finds by legally competent evidence on the record that the proposed development is consistent with the comp plan. And where it's not, it's satisfactorily addressed the issues where there were inconsistencies. The proposed development is in compliance with the standards and provisions of the municipality zoning ordinance. And there will be no significant negative environmental impacts from the proposed development as shown on the final plan with all required conditions of approval. The proposal will not result in creation of an individual lot. And finally, they have adequate permanent physical access to a public street.
I believe it ticks all the boxes. So,
Need a second?
So moved.
all in favor?
Wait, just for the record, who made this second? He
Rick.
made the motion.
I just called.
Oh, you made the motion.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I was, sorry.
No, I've been trying to dance around that. Okay,
Thank
now, I would say, let the town know when you're ready for preliminary. Next month is not, you want to look at it.
Make it there.
Yeah, you wanna, and I think, depending on our schedule, again, I don't particularly want to do special meetings. On the other hand, that is a possibility. So if we find I mean, I don't see another whale on the horizon in terms of what we're dealing with right now, so.
We just make sure if you are, if you are.
You asked me all the help with this, but I don't think we're all navigating.
If you are gonna apply for variances preliminary, you make sure the clerk knows this way it's gonna be advertised again as a public hearing.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, especially.
We're very appreciative of the board.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, guys. You guys, this was
Yeah.
good experience. Thank you.
And
You really do.
I'm sure.
Also, members of the board, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we gotta do an open it for the public in case they want to say anything. Yeah, no, I'm glad that we were able to, you know. Yeah. I'll make a motion to, for the, public to comment. But, yeah.
Sorry,
have to
sorry,
go
we're
through
closing.
the whole thing
Yeah.
here. But thank you very much.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Hey, good luck.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
If you could-
Yeah.
You bet. Training you guys.
Thank you. We'll see you next.
Oh, since this is still a public hearing.
Yeah.
Meeting.
Now we're.
I wasn't part of
Yeah, yeah.
it.
That's it. I'd like to know if, I'm opening it up to public comment, if anybody has anything that they would like to speak to outside of the agenda.
Yeah.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Can I ask when we might be working on updates to the zoning ordinance that are required in the comp plan?
I'll tell you, Blake, has already begun work on that.
Just organizing though, like I haven't done any due diligence yet.
What I'd like to do is, once we get through Settlers
Yeah.
Green.
Okay.
I mean, to me, that is, it's a vital part of the comprehensive
Yeah.
plan and really of our job, because I was just looking at our zoning regulations, which are actually filled with little Post-it notes
Yeah.
from 15 years
Believe
ago
it.
when we started looking at this thing. So, that process, and it's a public process too, isn't it? When you redo the zoning regulations. So we have to come in and say, here's, we have to meet, then we have to say, here's what we have in mind. I don't even know if is that a workshop required for that?
I believe the level and number of changes that at some point there may be a workshop,
I mean,
considering how many changes have to be made.
I think this should be on the agenda right at, we have 198 action items, individual action items coming out of that comprehensive plan. I mean, a lot of it can be delegated, right? But like, it's up to us to take charge on that. I think after Settler Green, like you said, that's a great opportunity for us to start knocking those out.
Yeah, I don't anticipate any other large, so I
Yeah.
think we could start, to answer Jenny's question was, when can we start on, looking at the zoning regulations? I would say, probably in November, December, and
Want me to pull from the comp plan, any specific one, like as far as the action items, like short term or?
Yeah, we
high
can-
priority?
So I consolidated them all onto one spreadsheet, so it's workable now.
Yeah,
So we pulled in all the action items, all the references. That's where I got the 198 from. So everywhere where there's an action item, we pulled it out, we uploaded it to a spreadsheet. So we can create that as a working document where not only we can track it, we could use it to delegate. And I think that can become our priorities of work for how we address zoning and identify what's the priority.
very helpful.
Are there changes
Pulling
that,
out specific though, one, I don't know, like you guys deciding, okay, which one do you want to put on?
Well, obviously Market Street, that is,
I mean, if I can make a recommendation, I think an approach would be we take these action items as a board, we digest it for, that we get it out to everyone for the next 2 months. And then we do a workshop and say, what's our top priorities? And we say, all right, this is where we're at. I think we're going to find a lot we can delegate. We have a lot of commissions in this town, right? Like everything has a commission.
the
You
thing
know?
is though, that certain commissions, don't have the power to make decisions.
But they could be our grunts. They could help us with the.
They can definitely help us.
They can make recommendations.
We just have to be careful because there are some that have the power to act and others that only have the power to recommend. But that,
would there also be associated changes that need to happen to the subdivision and land development regulations?
Certain ones, but I mean, it depends on the action item. but I would think.
And-
Would be not change. I mean, the subdivision regs have to be updated by state law, but I don't, but it's necessarily.
Do we want to even talk or question the town council's exploration of merger of the planning board and zoning? board?
I've heard nothing formal from the town council.
The zoning
About
board
this.
talked about it apparently.
Well, they talked about it because they heard the rumors. The town council. Yeah, I mean, I have a number of concerns about it, and based on what I've, reading the minutes of the council meeting, it doesn't sound like there's any, push on the part of the council.
Workshop, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. This was the last zoning that you referred to. I think this would be a workshop between planning, zoning, and council.
And the council has to ask for that.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
they,
that was the.
And they
next
haven't
thing.
asked for it yet.
no, and again, I think that,
So,
on the record, actually, nobody's done it in the state. And
We
you
don't
know,
want to be the first one.
well, but there's some real concerns here. I mean, look at, here we are in a special meeting after having done a regular meeting 2 weeks ago. Then we're gonna take on, or the board would take it on, and it's extremely difficult to find people now. I mean, we're volunteers. I hate to keep singing that song, but the idea that somehow you're gonna have this super board that's gonna take care of everything planning and zoning in this town seems pretty much of a stretch right now, unless somebody can come up and say, oh, it's real simple, here's how it works. And I don't see that. This unified development review we're doing is similar to, I think, what that board would do.
so
And
what are we talking about with zoning? Are we writing new zoning regulations?
No, we would have to recommend new zoning.
So that means we write them to recommend them.
Yeah, I mean,
It's part of the duties of the planning board under state statute.
Yeah.
Is that we make recommendations of zoning changes to the town council for the town council. to
we'd be
approve.
doing it
But
with the
what's that
assistance.
how does that work with the zoning? board?
Well, the zoning board doesn't make their own
Is-
regulations. They follow the regulations that were.
The planning board writes the
So
zoning
we-
ordinance.
Good to go ahead and write what we
Yeah.
think it ought to
Yes.
be. And then let them say yay or nay. Here's why.
Council,
The
town
town council, not.
And,
No,
oh,
zoning
the
board
zoning,
is
they
not
don't even
involved.
have
No.
they don't even have an opinion?
No,
But you're certainly guided by Rhode Island general law. And
Yeah.
the town council,
Right,
and the comp plan, right? Most importantly, the comp plan, it has to be consistent.
right. So we'll use the comp plan, which has been approved by the town council, to say, you approve this, here are the regulations that we believe are necessary to accomplish, make this a reality. And,
And conform to the new state law.
right, and
So
then they vote.
what are we talking about then? I mean,
I
Are we
think
writing
we're
them
getting
ourselves?
Are you getting the two topics? Like the combining of the board that one?
no, I want to talk about how we're going to be writing these new zoning recommendations.
Combination of different things.
Us, ourselves, sitting down at a computer typing?
No, I think we'd get together and, we'd probably have Alyssa and Allison and, like we do with a lot of our decisions. I
Like
mean,
we wrote the
somebody would
comprehensive
say,
plan?
here's the thing that I'd like to see in that, and we say, yeah, that makes sense.
Like we wrote, like we did with the comprehensive plan,
Yeah,
where Allison did it and we just said yay or nay?
Do that, I mean, yeah, like the planning board, the town could ask you to draft the specific ordinance, and then, yeah, there's a few things, but I mean, then there's also the updates required by the state law, so even getting assistance with that, there's some funding through the housing, town that applied for technical assistance for that. But as far as the comp plan implementation actions, yeah, I mean, planning board usually, rely on staff to draft the language, but then they are the ones providing input as far as, what they like or don't like.
Just
in those
exactly how we did the
drafts,
comp.
And then, and then you would, once you're comfortable with it, like the way it's worded, and then refer it to the town council for their approval or approval
Right.
for them.
so,
But there's different
So we
ways
need
that it can-
technical expertise to draft.
Well, I'd also look for
Oh,
legal expertise from
Yeah,
that town's.
Because we want to make sure.
I mean, this is our town, right? I think we want to write in a way that the comprehensive plan envisioned it, so.
Right, and,
I'm excited.
and it meets the town solicitor's,
Right.
approval as well. So
Yeah.
it's,
It's a team effort usually, right? And
Yeah.
writing it, I mean, but anyone could bring forward a zoning amendment, the town council could, send you zoning amendments.
as a start to this, Blake, if you can share that, piece with Alyssa,
I already sent it to her. It
And,
should be in
yeah.
your inbox.
you can send it out, to the rest of the members of the planning board.
I already sent it to Allison.
I've already, I've got a copy, but send it to me anyway. I mean, it's, this is a good beginning. It'll give you a clearer picture of where we're trying to get to.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks for
Okay,
putting it together.
so, hearing nothing from the peanut gallery, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.